Have you ever felt that the same kind of pain keeps finding you, no matter where you go? The faces change, the settings shift, but somehow the wound repeats itself. A betrayal here, a rejection there, a silence that cuts deeper than words. It's as if life knows exactly where to touch you, and it presses that place again and again. Why? Is the world cruel? Or is something else happening? What if I told you that no one has ever truly hurt you? That the pain you feel when someone betrays you, abandons you, or dismisses you is not only about them, it is about something already alive within you. Life, in its strange and sometimes merciless wisdom, brings us mirrors. And in those mirrors, we are forced to see the wounds we've carried for years, maybe since childhood, maybe longer. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every cut is not just an injury, it is a reminder of what has been waiting inside us, unseen, unhealed. Pain is not meaningless. Pain is not random. It is a signal, a messenger. Think of a physical wound. If you ignore it, infection sets in, the body weakens, and the injury shapes the way you walk through the world. But if you face it, if you clean it, if you tend to it, it becomes part of your healing. The same is true for the wounds of the soul. If you ignore them, you limp through life, not with your body, but with your spirit. But if you dare to turn toward them, to feel them fully, they become the very path to strength. So when someone hurts you, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly have they touched inside me? What old scar has been reopened? This is where your freedom begins. Imagine a child who grows up unseen. Maybe her parents are present but distracted. Maybe he is loved, but never truly heard. The child learns, I must hide my true self. I must become what others want in order to be safe. Years pass. The child becomes an adult. They enter relationships, they chase success, they search for meaning. And then, inevitably, they meet someone who doesn't value them, someone who walks away, someone who betrays their trust. And suddenly the wound is not just about today, it is the echo of years of feeling unseen. The betrayal now is sharper because it touches something ancient. This is why pain often feels unbearable. It does not belong to the present moment alone. It belongs to the past that still lives in us. Every relationship you have is a mirror. Sometimes it reflects your beauty, your strength, your kindness. But often, it reflects the parts of you that you have hidden, the parts you fear, the parts you deny, the parts you believe are unlovable. This is why people closest to you can wound you the deepest. They press the hidden buttons. They awaken the shadows. They force you to see what you would rather keep in the dark. But here is the gift. If you dare to look into that mirror, if you dare to say, yes, this is mine, this is the wound I carry, then something shifts. You are no longer a victim of life. You are a participant in your own healing. Now imagine this. You begin to see your wounds clearly. You recognize the loneliness, the insecurity, the fear of rejection, not as enemies, but as lost children within you. And instead of blaming the world for hurting you, you turn inward and say, I see you. I will no longer abandon you. What happens then? Life doesn't suddenly stop testing you. People may still disappoint you, but the pain no longer breaks you in the same way. Because you know where it comes from. You've met the wound. You've embraced it. And so the external blow loses its power. This is what it means when we say, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because the world changes, but because you change. Because you stop giving your power away to the outside. Because you know that the only true battlefield is within. So let me ask you now, what is the pain that repeats itself in your life? What is the story that keeps coming back, no matter how much you try to escape it? Pause for a moment. Let an image arise. Maybe it is the silence of someone who should have spoken. Maybe it is the betrayal of someone you trusted. Maybe it is the endless ache of not being chosen. See it. Do not run. Do not distract yourself. Hold it. For in holding it, you are beginning to heal. And in healing, you are stepping into a freedom where nothing and nobody can ever truly hurt you again. This is the beginning of the journey. The first step toward wholeness. From here, we will go deeper, into the shadow, into the hidden parts of yourself, into the truth that you have always carried within. Stay with me. The journey is only beginning. We have spoken about wounds, about the places inside of us that hurt again and again. But to truly understand why nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again, we must step into the territory of the shadow. The shadow is not your enemy. It is not evil. It is not the monster you imagine. The shadow is simply the part of you that you have refused to see. The part of you that you pushed away because it did not feel safe, or acceptable, or worthy of love. When you were young, you learned quickly what was allowed and what was not. Maybe you were told, "Don't be too loud." Or maybe it was, "Don't be too sensitive." Perhaps you felt anger but were punished for showing it. Perhaps you longed for attention but were told it was selfish. So, you hid those parts. You locked them away, deep in the unconscious, where you hoped no one could see. And yet, they never disappeared. They became your shadow. This shadow holds not only what you fear, but also what you need. It carries your anger, yes, but also your power. It carries your sadness, but also your depth. It carries your envy, but also your desire to grow. The shadow is not the darkness against you. The shadow is the half of you that longs to return. Here is the problem. What you refuse to see in yourself does not vanish. It controls you from the dark. It leaks out in moments of rage you cannot explain. It shapes your choices, your relationships, your fears. And yes, it is the reason you keep feeling hurt by others. Because life, in its relentless wisdom, will send people to play the role of your shadow. They will carry the very traits you cannot accept in yourself. They will mirror the emotions you deny. They will provoke the feelings you do not want to feel. And every time they do, you will feel pain. Not because they are cruel, but because they are reflecting back what you have hidden. This is the shadow at work. Let me tell you a story. A man grows up learning that anger is dangerous. His father was explosive, his mother was silent, and so he decided, "I will never be angry. I will be kind. I will be calm. I will be good." And for many years, it works. He is liked, respected, even admired. But inside, his shadow grows heavier. The anger he has denied seeps into his bones. He feels resentment but cannot name it. He feels exhausted but cannot explain why. Then one day, he meets someone who provokes him constantly. A colleague, perhaps. Someone arrogant, dismissive, rude. And he cannot understand why this person makes his blood boil. He thinks, they are toxic. They are cruel. They are my enemy. But the truth is this, they are his mirror. They are showing him the anger he has buried. The anger he never allowed himself to feel. And until he sees this, until he accepts that anger is part of him too, he will continue to feel powerless, hurt, controlled by others. We are afraid of the shadow because we believe that if we open the door, we will be consumed. We believe that if we admit our anger, it will destroy us. That if we admit our envy, it will make us small. That if we admit our sadness, it will drown us. But the opposite is true. What we hide controls us. What we face becomes integrated. The anger we face becomes strength. The envy we face becomes ambition. The sadness we face becomes compassion. The shadow does not destroy us. Denying it does. And here lies the secret. When you embrace your shadow, when you bring it into the light, you stop being so easily broken by others. No insult can wound you deeply, because you already know your own darkness. No rejection can shatter you, because you have already embraced the parts of you that felt unworthy. When someone provokes you, instead of saying, "They hurt me," you begin to ask, "What are they showing me about myself?" And in that moment, the power shifts. The world no longer controls you. You are no longer a victim of mirrors. You are the one who sees. And when you see, nothing and nobody can ever truly hurt you again. So I invite you to try this. Think of someone who triggers you. Someone whose presence irritates you, whose words cut deep, whose existence unsettles you. Instead of blaming them, ask, what part of myself are they reflecting back to me? What trait, what feeling, what truth have I hidden in my shadow? Write it down. Speak it aloud. Name it. And then, with gentleness, say, "Yes, this too is me." You will feel the shift. The trigger softens. The wound begins to heal. And you begin to walk a path where the world has less and less power over you. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your guide. And when you integrate it, when you make peace with what you once denied, you become whole. And in that wholeness, you find a strength so profound that no betrayal, no rejection, no judgment can truly hurt you again. This is not the end of the journey. This is only the next step. From here, we will move deeper, into the process of becoming whole, into the path of individuation, where your true self waits to be born. You have faced your wounds. You have glimpsed the shadow. And now you stand at the threshold of something greater, the journey of becoming whole. This journey has a name: individuation. It is the process of becoming who you truly are, beyond masks, beyond roles, beyond the voices of others. It is the path of uncovering the self, the deeper, timeless core within you that has always been there, waiting. From the moment we are born, we are taught to wear masks. We learn how to behave, how to smile, how to fit in. We learn that some parts of us are acceptable, while others must be hidden away. We put on a mask to please our parents, another mask to survive school, another to succeed at work, another to be loved in relationships. We become experts at pretending, often so much so that we forget there is anything behind the mask at all. But there comes a moment when the mask cracks. Maybe it happens after heartbreak, maybe after burnout, maybe after years of chasing success only to feel empty at the top. And in that crack, we sense a deeper voice rising. This is not who I am. There is more to me than this. That voice is the self calling you home. Individuation is not about becoming perfect. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming whole. It is about bringing together all the pieces you have scattered, the light and the dark, the joy and the pain, the strength and the weakness. Think of a mosaic. Each broken shard of glass seems meaningless on its own. But when placed together, they form a pattern of breathtaking beauty. That is what you are doing when you walk the path of individuation. You are gathering your pieces. You are becoming art. And in that wholeness, you discover a strength that cannot be taken away. Because it is not built on approval. Not built on masks. Not built on what others think. It is built on truth. Imagine a woman who has lived her whole life trying to please others. She is always kind, always agreeable, always giving. But inside, she feels empty, resentful, unseen. One day, she begins to notice her anger. She admits her exhaustion. She recognizes her desire to say no. At first, it terrifies her. She fears people will leave. She fears she will lose love. But slowly, she begins to integrate these parts. She allows herself to speak honestly. She allows herself to rest. She allows herself to feel anger, not as destruction, but as protection. And something miraculous happens. She becomes stronger. She is no longer fragile. No longer dependent on constant approval. She is whole. And in that wholeness, she cannot be broken by rejection, by betrayal, by judgment. She knows who she is. And that knowing is unshakable. This is the paradox of individuation. The more you embrace your brokenness, the stronger you become. The more you admit your vulnerability, the less fragile you are. The more you face your fears, the less the world can frighten you. Because when you are whole, there is nothing left to hide. Nothing left to prove. Nothing left for others to use against you. You stand rooted, grounded, unshakable. This is why nothing and nobody can hurt you again. Not because life stops bringing challenges, but because you no longer live divided against yourself. You no longer fear your own depths. And when you do not fear yourself, you do not fear the world. Individuation is not a path of comfort. It is a path of courage. It asks you to face your shadow, to embrace your wounds, to question your masks. It asks you to walk away from false certainties and step into the mystery of your own soul. But the reward is freedom. The reward is strength. The reward is the deep, quiet knowing that you are whole, and therefore unbreakable. So I ask you now, are you willing to begin this journey? Are you willing to gather your scattered pieces? Are you willing to step beyond the mask and discover the self that has been waiting for you all along? The journey of individuation is the journey of freedom. And as you walk it, you will see that life's pains are no longer punishments, but teachers. Shadows are no longer enemies, but guides. And your wounds are no longer chains, but doorways into your true strength. This is what it means to live a life where nothing and nobody will ever truly hurt you again. Not because you avoid pain, but because you have discovered something stronger than pain, the power of being whole. Every human life carries suffering. Anxiety, heartbreak, loneliness, shame, they touch us all. And in a world filled with endless noise, comparison, and distraction, suffering can feel heavier than ever. But suffering is not the end of the story. In truth, it is the beginning of freedom. Because suffering is the pressure that pushes us inward. It is the flame that forges us. It is the invitation to discover a part of ourselves we would never find otherwise. Think about the struggles of our time. We live in a world where we are constantly connected, yet many feel more isolated than ever. We scroll through the highlights of other people's lives and wonder why we do not measure up. We search for love but fear rejection. We chase success but feel emptier the higher we climb. Anxiety whispers that we are not enough. Depression tells us nothing matters. The voice of comparison eats away at our worth. And when someone criticizes us or leaves us, the wound feels unbearable. But what if I told you this? The pain you feel in these moments is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you, to push you to go deeper, to free you from the illusions that have kept you small. Suffering becomes freedom when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this revealing in me?" Rejection reveals your hidden fear of being unworthy. Betrayal awakens your buried distrust. Anxiety uncovers the shadow of control and uncertainty. Depression points to the parts of you that have been silenced and abandoned. When you listen, truly listen, you discover that suffering is not an enemy. It is a messenger. And once you hear the message, the suffering begins to transform. Let me tell you about a man who lost everything. His business collapsed. His relationship ended. His friends turned away. He fell into despair, convinced that life had broken him. For months, he asked only one question: why me? Why this pain? But one day, in the silence of his loneliness, a different question rose. What is this pain trying to teach me? And in that moment, something shifted. He realized that his worth had always been tied to success, to approval, to the masks he wore. He had never known himself outside of achievement. His suffering revealed the truth. He had abandoned his own soul. Slowly, he began to rebuild. Not by chasing old definitions of success, but by listening to his deeper self. And though his external circumstances remained uncertain, he discovered a freedom he had never known. Because he no longer feared losing what the world could take away. He had found what the world could not touch: himself. Perhaps your suffering wears a different face. Perhaps it is the anxiety that keeps you awake at night, spinning endless possibilities of what could go wrong. Perhaps it is the loneliness of not being seen in your relationships. Perhaps it is the weight of believing you are not good enough. Whatever its form, the path is the same. Do not run from it. Do not drown it in distraction. Do not pretend it is not there. Sit with it. Listen. Ask, what truth is hidden beneath this suffering? What part of me have I left behind? When you dare to listen, anxiety becomes a teacher of trust. Loneliness becomes an invitation to meet yourself more deeply. Low self-worth becomes the doorway to discovering your inherent value. Every suffering, when faced, becomes the soil of freedom. This is the turning point, when you realize that suffering is not the opposite of freedom, but the path to it. Freedom is not the absence of pain, it is the transformation of pain into wisdom. And once you see this, the world changes. The same challenges may still come. People may still reject you. Life may still bring uncertainty. But you are no longer fragile. Because you know that each wound carries a message, each disappointment holds a lesson, each moment of suffering is a step toward deeper freedom. And this is why, at the deepest level, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because suffering disappears, but because suffering has become your teacher. It has lost its power to enslave you. It has become the doorway to your liberation. So let me ask you now, what is the suffering you are carrying today? Is it the anxiety of the future? The ache of loneliness? The sting of rejection? The weight of not being enough? Close your eyes for a moment. Instead of resisting it, lean in. Listen to what it is telling you. Ask, what part of me is calling for my attention? What freedom is hidden inside this pain? If you can hold the question, if you can stay with it, you will begin to feel a shift. The suffering that once crushed you will become a compass. And that compass will lead you to freedom. Suffering is not the end of you. It is the beginning of you. And when you embrace it, when you listen, when you allow it to shape you, you discover the greatest freedom of all, the freedom of being whole. And in that wholeness, you will know with certainty, nothing and nobody will ever truly hurt you again. You have walked with me through the landscape of wounds. You have looked into the face of the shadow. You have heard the call of wholeness, and you have seen how even suffering itself can become a path to freedom. And now, we arrive at the closing truth, the place where nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Think back on everything we have explored together, the wound that repeats itself, calling you again and again until you finally turn toward it. The shadow, hidden and denied, waiting for you to reclaim it. The masks you have worn, and the self that lives behind them. The suffering that seemed unbearable, but in truth was shaping you into strength. Each of these pieces is not separate, they belong to the same whole. And that whole is you. You are not only your pain. You are not only your shadow. You are not only the parts of you that you have tried to hide. You are all of it, and more. You are the light and the dark, the wound and the healer, the question and the answer. You are whole. When you live from this wholeness, the world no longer breaks you. Yes, there will still be loss. Yes, there will still be challenges. Yes, there will still be moments of grief. But they do not define you anymore. They move through you, but they cannot undo you. Why? Because you are rooted in something deeper. You no longer fear your own darkness, so you no longer fear the world. You no longer reject yourself, so the rejection of others does not shatter you. You no longer run from pain, so pain becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. This is freedom. This is strength. This is what it means to live a life where nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Now, the journey does not end here. This is not a single moment. It is a path you walk every day. Each time life brings you pain, ask, what is this teaching me? Each time someone triggers you, ask, what shadow are they reflecting? Each time you feel unworthy, whisper the mantra, I am whole. Write it in your journal. Speak it into your mornings. Carry it with you when the world feels heavy. And most of all, live it. Live as someone who is no longer fragile, no longer defined by wounds, no longer broken by the opinions of others. The world does not need another perfect person. It needs you, whole, real, alive.